Hello everyone. I just spent like 25 minutes making a whole video. Turns out I'm an idiot. Um, for unused, let's no connect internally. Oh my god, that's why. Okay, this is a whole revelation I'm having right here. Okay, so I was talking about the LGA 1700 pinout diagram because I bought a couple of motherboards that have bent pins, and yeah, I was going through this and I was thinking that in my head, I should have, if I would have taken 2 seconds to think about it, it makes sense. This is A1. This is A1. This, so it's totally flipped. You literally have to flip it like clink to actually have A1 in the correct pin layout for if you're looking at the motherboard. So okay, just to recap what I talked about. So I bought two motherboards. This one right here, the Z790-F. Boom. Let me see if y'all can see it. Y'all good. That is the LGA, or sorry, Z79-F. Great motherboard and everything, but this one's cooked. You can see the pins. You can see on this shit ass camera that they are not ideal, and this is after me trying to fix them. I may go back in and try to, you know, continue adjusting, to see if maybe I can resurrect this motherboard. But at this moment, it's not looking too ideal. So yeah. But if I could get it to work, that'd be great because this is a very nice motherboard. Um, it's a bunch of M.2 heat sinks, this and that. And the one that I was able to resurrect is this Z790-F. I mean, so God, get my words completely horizontally. um, So the board I just showed you was the Z790-F. The board I have in my system right now is a Z790-E. Um, and if we go to the eBay listing, which let me see if I can just sign in. I don't want to show y'all my. Oh, am I even? Am I signed in right now? I don't know. Okay, hold on. Purchase history. Let's see. Oh, this should not. Wait. No. Shit. Forgot my fucking Gmail password. Oh, fantastic. Okay. All good. Everyone, word to the wise. Um, write down all your passwords because mine are completely different. But oh my god, there we go. And I got, by the way, y'all try to hack my shit. I got two-factor authentication. So yeah, and I ain't pressing agree. Okay, so this is the motherboard I bought for 65 bucks. Pretty solid deal. And in the he says hello, thanks. Da, 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 da. This motherboard has been pins being prepared, working, and the pins were bent up while upgrading. It's not been tested or turned on after pins were bent. So once I heard that, I was like, okay, this is actually a worthwhile listing to check out. So let's see. I think he's got some. Okay, so he's got pictures of before. So you got some bent right there. You got a couple fucked up right there. You got this one is a bitch. I don't even know what the fuck's wrong with this one, but I was able to get it to work. It just kind of is like it's like the metal is like permanently fucked up or something. I don't know, permanently messed up. You had I think that was one right there, but obviously I took my time and I was able to unbend pretty much all of them, and now it's a working motherboard. With no, I've done memory stress tests, pretty much everything you could think of, CPU stress test, and it's working perfectly fine. So but that would make sense because I was thinking that A51 was actually A1. So I was thinking that the two pins that I had bent were, wait, where's my, I was actually thinking that the two pins I had bent were these right here, V core, or here, these. That's what I thought I had bent. Incorrect. Wrong. Nope. The two pins I actually had bent, because this is A1, meaning that if we go back to the eBay listing, okay, if you guys see, okay, what orientation does he have this in right now? This is, okay, so if you're looking at the motherboard, let's see, this is A1. As you can kind of see the little arrow right there. That's A1. So we're looking at this diagram right now. So the two pins that I messed up were these, right? So we go back to this listing right here. It's these two because this one to the left is still there, right? So I guess it's either actually, I can't tell perfectly. It's either those or it's actually these, right? And so this makes a whole lot of sense as to why this motherboard actually still works, because I was thinking it was these, V core power, which would actually be okay. Like if you were missing a V core power pin, you probably would still be able to post and be perfectly fine. You could probably actually be missing a few and be okay because you have a ton of other pins that can supply plenty of power, and be perfectly fine. Now, once you get up to, like if you're missing 10, oh, you probably cooked. But as long as you're not missing, you know, a a ton of them or something, you should be fine. Obviously, ground is ideal because ground pins don't really do anything except for ground the CPU to the motherboard. Um, and then these RSVD pins are actually reserved pins. These are, they're not used. They don't do anything. So that would explain perfectly why this motherboard still works. And then the only one pin that was kind of giving some issues was actually it might have been this one right here. Let's take a gander. So we got this one's fucked up. This is, let's see, I'm trying to line this up right quick. Okay, so we got 52, 51, 50, 49, 48. And then we go straight left, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 48. Oh, well, if that is on 48, if that is the truth, right? Because, okay, we start. Oh, no, I'm tripping because 52 starts up here. Okay, so 52, 51, 40, 49, 48, 47, 46. Okay, so it's actually on 46. Okay, let's take a gander. 46. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's actually a DDR pin, which is why that pin, when that pin was messed up, it was, I put the CPU in and it started the boot sequence, and then it gave me the postcode that DDR was not being initialized, and it was or was not just it was just not being seen. So if that's the case, we're at 46, and then yeah, we are over 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is unfortunate because if it was literally one line up, it would be ground. Yeah. So let's see. See if we can zoom in here. But I was able to get it fixed, and my RAM isn't erroring out or anything like that. So, I'm happy with that. Very good. And I'm especially happy that I only got the motherboard for $65. And right now I do have I also did talk a little bit in the video I just made that I was recording for quite a while. How, obviously I'm using AOM AV1. Very, like, that's one of the coolest things that I think so far I've really gotten out of the CPU is that I'm actually able to use like a CPU encoder without it actually affecting performance to any significant degree at all. I can game, I can do literally anything I want while using my CPU encoder. And like CPU encoders aren't buggy. Well, I take it back. If your CPU is powerful enough to handle the encoder, CPU encoders are not as buggy as like graphics cards or well, okay, AMD encoders specifically, because NVINC is fine. NVINC is generally okay to use. Like, it's not going to give you a bunch of bugs, this and that. But my experience with AMD encoders has not been ideal. So the fact that I'm just able to use, the 3900K to its fullest potential, where it's literally just pretty much what it's doing is it's just brute forcing through the encoder. Um, don't get it twisted. These AOM encoders are very very strenuous on especially like a low core count CPU, such as like a 7800X3D or a 9800X3D. I seriously doubt a 9800X3D would be able to actually do AOM AB1 encoding effectively. I'm like almost positive it would hang. Like it just would not be stable. The encoder it would overload the CPU pretty much. Um, and it's almost like the 3900K literally does not break a sweat. Like it just doesn't even phase it. Um, and I know this because my last CPU was a 7800X3D, and I was never able to use CPU encoders. The CPU just was not strong enough. It just was not powerful enough to handle it. Um, which is really unfortunate because they are great gaming CPUs, but it's like unfortunately when a CPU doesn't have enough cores, it's not able. There's even if those 8 cores are very strong, which they are, like it's not they are good cores. It's just there's not enough cores to spread out that workload, whereas the 1300K has 24 cores. So obviously 816, 24, it has 3 times the amount of cores. Like even though a lot of those are efficiency cores, it's like those cores still get up to like 4.6 gigahertz, where the 7800X3D the max clock on that is like 5,000 megahertz. So it's not even like the E cores are that far away from like a similar frequency to what the 7800X3D was doing. Anyways, so now, obviously, you can't strictly compare core to core. Like that's not how it works. But um, all I'm saying is that if you're going to be recording and you don't want to deal with a hardware encoder that's built into your GPU, and you kind of want a CPU that can just brute force its way through like most tasks, it's like pick up either an Intel Core Ultra, I think it's 275 or 285K or something, or like a 3900K or 4900. Like those are going to give you no problems. And I think generally also the Intel just is better with encoders. Even a higher core count AMD CPU would not handle an encoder quite as well as an Intel one would. So just food for thought if you were thinking about getting an AMD CPU, which is like AMD CPUs are great. They really are great, especially for gaming. Um, but I do think Intel does have the upper hand in some areas. Like it's just like AMD is great at some stuff, Intel is great. It is also great at some stuff, which is generally AMD or Intel is really good at multi-threaded or multi-core, multi-threaded tasks, whereas AMD, unless you get up to like the $700 range of CPU, just doesn't. It's just not there. Um, and if we go to Micro Center's website, oh look at that typing, Jesus Christ, Mike, mate. Let's see. Now I'm kind of curious what a 282 okay 265KF, 265K, 265K, 270K, 285K. Okay, well that is kind of big, but it's coming with RAM. So let's see. Let's just see what the processors. Intel Core Ultra 285K. Um, let's see. Okay, so 539. So it is actually more expensive than the 1400K. which, you know, I mean, it's kind of a hard pick. I personally wouldn't spend that much money on either of these CPUs, if I'm being honest with you. I just wouldn't do it. Um, Definitely wouldn't go with the 12900K because I think that these only have 8 performance cores and 8 E cores. Nope. Nope. Would not do it. Would not buy the 14900. Wait, whoa. That's crazy. Do not buy that. Definitely do not buy that. What the hell? Good lord. Doesn't even have overclocking ability. Um, Micro Center is weird like that. They'll have very weird pricing. Sometimes it just won't. It literally will make no sense. Um, and also, if you're worried about, um, degradation or whatever, Intel, when I RMA'd the CPU that I bought, I wasn't even the original purchaser of that CPU. They just RMA'd it, never asked for proof of purchase, never asked for anything. And it was one of the best RMA experiences I've ever had. Um, the day that they got my CPU, they shipped out the brand new one, and I got it with it. I literally the RMA process took like a week and a couple of days. Like I've never heard of an RMA experience where it was that fast. Never. They really, really like were on top of it. On top of it with that. Um, I was expecting to get my RMA maybe like a few days ago, and I've had this CPU for like 2 weeks now. So if you're worried about getting like a 1300K or 1400K, like Intel is definitely very supportive. Like they didn't try to fight me on it at all. Like I told the problems. They were like, "Yep, we have confirmed it is the CPU," and they said they gave me a label to ship the CPU to them, and boom, I shipped it to them. And the day they got it, they had that. I don't know if they got air shipping or something. They got priority on that shipment. That dude, whoever picked up that CPU, drove right to my house. So, yeah, I would, all I'm saying is a lot of it, some of it is fear mongering, but some of it, obviously a lot of CPUs did degrade. But as long as you set a voltage cap, which I really don't think is that difficult to do, or you know, um, even easier would be to just upgrade your motherboard BIOS and just use Intel default settings. So you just won't even ever have to worry about anything. So if you just keep on Intel default settings and you don't care about overclocking, like your 3900K or 4900K will never degrade, or it'll just be a normal CPU degradation that happens just from normal use. Like 5 years later, your CPU might not be able to hit 5.9; it might only be able to hit 5.7 or 5.8, which is like over a 5 year period is like, in my opinion, would kind of be very normal degradation. Um, because no matter what you do, like silicon degrades. Even at low voltage, it'll degrade over time. Um, Now whether or not it takes 20 years to degrade or 5 years to degrade is kind of, you know, it's like obviously if I limited it, like for example, if I limited all my cores to five gigahertz, right, all my P cores to 5 gigahertz, all my E cores to four gigahertz, and I ran my CPU at like 1.15 volts, it's going to degrade significantly slower than probably what I'm running it at right now. But that's the thing though; these CPUs they're still designed to handle something like 1.3 volts. Like this is not going to degrade a CPU. Um, where the degradation was really happening was the 14900. Really, it was mostly the 14900Ks where the CPU would request like 1.5 volts or 1.6 volts. Like it was ridiculous. Now that will kill a chip pretty quickly. Um, and that's also why you saw a lot less 13900Ks or 13900 sort of, or any 13th gen. That's why you saw a whole lot less degradation because the 1300K was the same chip as the 4900K. It just didn't have that crazy high boost clock of 6 gigahertz that Intel just so wanted to get. Because you can't release literally the same CPU with the same frequency. So they were like, we have to release it that where it has something, right, something extra. But to hit that 6 gigahertz frequency, you had to give it a lot of voltage. Um, so that's really where the CPU, where the chips were dying was was Intel's 14th gen. That's mostly where they were getting cooked. Um, and yeah, just if you get one of these chips, either limit voltage, um, and if you go into the Intel Intel power limit menu or whatever, you'll see like IAVR limit, and you just set that to 1400 millivolts, and you'll be golden. Like the CPU is literally not allowed to go over that. And as you can see, I'm still hitting 5.5, 5.6 all core, 4.4, 4.6 e core. Like, um, yeah, like you'll be good. I'm not worried at all that this CPU is going to degrade. Um, and also, if you ever want to buy a motherboard that has, this is so lucky, by the way. Like the fact that these are the two pins that were fucked up, like that is luck. Luck. RSVD, RSVD. Like what? Reserved. Like they don't even, these do nothing. Like that is crazy to me. That those, like, wow. Um, yeah, on a CPU pinout, RSVD pins are reserved by Intel. That usually means they are not meant for the motherboard's user to treat as a normal signal power or ground pin. Unused, no kind of factory test related, reserved for future CPU stepping slash features, reserved electrical contacts that must be left alone, sometimes tied a certain way internally, even if the public diagram does not explain it. Um, so okay, but pretty much missing RSVD pins, usually not as scary as memory dated control pins, but not guaranteed harmless. So so don't assume it means ground. So okay. Now, but I will say though, whatever these pins, I think it's these two. Whatever these, I'm actually okay. RSV underscore TP of that. I'm curious what the TP means. Reserved test point. Okay. Um, NCTF non-critical to function should not be connected. So okay, so test point. I don't really know what that means. I don't really know what a test point is. So RSVD, like most of these pins, you'll probably be fine because they don't really do anything with the. I'm assuming that these are reserved for like Intel if they had to probe it or something. If they had to like probe the motherboard to figure out something, I'm assuming that's what these RSVD pins would be. But as far as the CPU functioning, I don't think they actually have a critical role in the CPU's ability to do what it needs to do. You know. So yeah, that explains why this motherboard works perfectly fine. Um, so well, let's see if I can get a better look at this eBay listing. Um, where'd it go? Oh, right here. Uh, oh, okay, there we go. I kind of want to get like an up close look to see to like really. Okay, yeah. So it is those two pins that are messed up. So yeah, RSVD TP, RSVD TP. So let's see. I am missing both. Let's see, two RSVD pins. I'm just curious as to what it'll say because among least scary pins to lose compared with memory, yeah, okay. Validation testing access, not a normal everyday CPU function like RAM channel data, PCI. Um, Likely okay. Make sure no broken metal pieces. Da, 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 da. So yeah, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So yeah, the only one that I really, am worried about at this state is this one. But board's working. No, I don't like. How do you even bend that pin though? How does that happen? I mean, I'm seriously. I don't understand how somebody bends two pins like that. I don't get it. I don't even understand. I just don't. In these like just rogue bent pins, how does that happen? Like what what what? Only thing I can think of is shipping or something. I don't know because this doesn't look like CPU damage where you like drop the CPU on the socket. That's not what this looks like. Maybe this. Maybe maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, this looks like the corner of the CPU could have hit right there, and that's why this is all kind of messed up. But yeah, I don't know how that happens. I'm very careful when it comes to what did this dude say? Let's see. Um, duh, 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 Working condition due to high volume of 400 photos. Oh, okay, fantastic. That dude did not answer mine. I'm thinking about maybe buying this motherboard. I don't know yet. This is a nice motherboard. This is a nice motherboard. All right. Well, anyways, y'all, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Yeah, I thought it was kind of an interesting video. Just kind of went over, pinout diagrams, this and that. Just kind of chilling, talking about random stuff. So yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed. I will see y'all in the next one.